Is he visible now? He says that उन्होंने click किया है वहाँ पे.
Nahi, he is not visible. Sir is not visible. Okay, we have gone live. We will wait for Sir. I'll just greet the audience. Namaskar, dosto. Very good evening. Hello, everyone. It's always a pleasure to host this fantastic sessions for all of you. Learning Unlimited. और आज मुझे मौका मिला है कि we are going to interact with an incredible person, someone whom we would admire a lot because of his trading skill, because of his learning skill. तो हम लाइव होने वाले उनके साथ में सीधा यूएस से, so we are trying to connect with him, and obviously हमारे प्रिय प्रमल भाई will also be there, and today is going to be another day of immense learning on RS and RS. Okay, so just wait for a few minutes. अभी हम कोशिश कर रहे हैं सर को लाइव लेने की. So couple of more minutes. Obviously the session will be in English. It will not be in Hindi because सर तो हिंदी नहीं समझते हैं. अभी तक प्रमल भाई ने उनको हिंदी नहीं सिखाई है, गुजराती सिखा दी है लेकिन हिंदी नहीं सिखाई है. So we are trying to connect with him. We are trying to take him online. So I will request all of you to give us a couple of minutes so that technological problem can be resolved. Just give me a minute.
Hello?
Hello, Premal bhai. Yes, now we can see sir, he's here.
I'm trying to connect.
No, he's here. He's here now. He's here now.
Okay.
Oh, here we have.
Great.
So Tom, can you hear us?
Yeah, remember guys, I left my hearing aids at home.
Okay, so Premal is anyways loud most of the time. I'll try to be louder.
Good. Okay, that's great. That's fantastic.
Cool. Fantastic. So great to see you. Great to have you. Please allow me to introduce you to my august audience, and then we have a lot of questions ready for you. But before that, let me just take a quick, description of your profile for my audience. So guys, let's welcome Tom Dorsey. He's a co-founder of Dorsey Wright and Associates. He founded in 1987. Tom, by the way, today is 19th of October, and 1987 reminds me of 19th October, Panic Monday, Black Monday. Do you remember that, Black Monday?
I remember 19th of October, absolutely.
Yeah, so today is also 19th of October.
Oh, that's right. Today is. That didn't even occur to me. That's right.
Yeah, it's just a coincidence, huh?
My Lord, today's a seminal day.
It is. So sorry to interrupt in the middle. Let me just complete your introduction. So Tom served as its chairman and CEO until his retirement in 2019. And people from India has forced him to come out of retirement and come back to market again. Is it so?
Yes, that is so. I was enjoying retirement. Now it's all of a sudden I'm back in demand.
Yes, and I saw your interview recently. You gave an interview where you told that people from India is demanding and they want you to be back.
Yes, absolutely. And that's why I am. I mean, Premal came over, got a hold of me, and we started doing some things together. Next thing you know, I'm back in it.
Fantastic. Sorry to interrupt in the middle again. So let me just complete the introduction. Tom is the author of Point and Figure Charting. A lot of kids in India, they have written and they have talked about point and figure, but he is the big daddy who wrote about point and figure way back. His book is Essential Application for Forecasting and Tracking Market Prices, Thriving as a Broker in 21st Century, and Tom's Trading Tips, a playbook for stock market success. He has been a regular guest on Fox, Cavuto on business and Bulls and Beer program, and frequent speaks to audience widely as he is doing today on topics related to stock market, technical analysis, and relative strength investing, which is the topic for today's discussion. Tom, it's absolutely pleasure for us to have you. And, allow me to introduce my big brother, Premal Parekh, as well. We all know him by face now. He is a celebrity in India. People know him as RS Premal Parekh.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
So we have just started a new designation in India, a title. People use Mr., Mrs., Doctor. Now we have started using RS, and Premal Parekh is the first title.
I love it. I love it. I still remember that day.
Thank you, Tom. So, Pramal bhai, I want you to speak a bit about Tom and about your experience with Tom, about his science, how you learned it, and then we straight away drive into RS.
Yeah. Uh, uh, I have to cut it down to a very small segment because of the discussions which we have to, but I will try to put it as much as I can. Well, my introduction with Tom happened something around 2008-9, and we were connected via Facebook for the first few, maybe 1 or 2 years. And I used to study his methods and strategies, what he practiced, and the way point and figure charting were used and in those days. And then one day, fine day, Tom messaged me that I am traveling to India. And that was like, a eureka moment for me. I really wanted him to meet me. And, luckily he was traveling in between to the city which I stay into is Ahmedabad. And I had the fortune of hosting him for 2 nights in the city. And that's when the actual discussion of 2-3 hours for the 2 days which we were together happened. And I got to understand how RS, the metrics, the distribution, the bell curve. I mean, I was just all around the discussion. I was thinking, my God, what is all this which I even don't know after so many years in the market? And I was just, I have no words to describe what ignited inside me. And from that point onwards, the only thing which I, was practicing into the market was relative strength. So all due credits for him to introduce me for every single aspect of relative strength. Uh, Luckily, when he went back to USA, his book was self-signed and sent to me for reference, and that book was my Bible for the next 1.5 years, which I again and again, read about how this PNF was used for relative strength. Then I subscribed to the DWS system for maybe around 3 or 4 years, and that's when the whole grip of how to identify supply, demand, what we say accumulation and distribution. This all got clear to me. So, as I can always say, we all have a guru, and this is one man right now with me who has been a guru to me. Not verbally in those days so much, because as we all know, no internet that powerful was there. And then we also had that calling charges, which was pretty heavy. So this kind of a discussion, maybe a 1 hour discussion, would cost you a bomb. But then his methods in the book, his system, which I was subscribing to, and the way the stocks were getting identified, that opened up the whole avenue, the universe of relative strength identification for stock investing to me. And so all thanks to him. One should I say, I should say one thing is like, personally I met him a decade back. But when I talk to him today, he is a little older age-wise, but my God, the energy which Tom has, every time he speaks, I see the same exact person which I met decade back, So amazing energy, always a teacher. He has been a teacher for most of his life. And it's like, the teaching part runs from his veins, his blood. So no words to express all this joy. So I'm very thankful that on my repeated request today, he spared me the time and we are doing this live webinar.
We must be thankful to you as well, Premal bhai, for giving us an opportunity to interact with Tom. But Tom, just taking a couple of minutes more, I want to connect with you and inform you how I got connected with Premal Parekh. Well, I have been following relative strength strategy in a certain way before I met Premal Parekh, and as they say that all generous people, all big people in market who are big-hearted, they have this uncanny ability to give back the knowledge to the society. Just like you, I think The value system which is inside Pramal has been great. And when we connected first, the first thing which we connected was that, Vivek, tell me, how do I give back? And I told Pramal Bhai that what you are doing in Ahmedabad with such a immense knowledge in your mind and not giving to everyone in society, you are not doing justice. And then we thought that let's create this big environment called RS Warriors, which has now almost 4,500 members. I would say not members, these are warriors who are trying to fight out in the market day in and day out under the leadership of Pramal Bhai. And we are trying to make sure that India reaches all the Indian traders and investors. They reaches the glory what America has seen, a wide scale wealth creation happening in the market, in American market. I think the same thing is getting witnessed in India, and RS is becoming the catalyst of that growth in the revenue of major traders in our country. So thank you, Tom, a lot for responding to Pramal Parekh in Facebook. That was the initial initiation of RS in India, I would say.
Fantastic. That is fantastic.
So, Tom, I want you to just speak something and then we get into a dialogue. I want to hear more from you. So, let me just keep mum now, and I would love to hear from you some things.
Well, thank you so much, Vivek and Premal, for having me on the show here. I mean, it's fantastic. I have I've grown to love India. The times that I have come there, I've done business in Mumbai and various other places, and been there to speak a number of times. But most important was the adventure that I went on that India does every year, and it's to raise money for charity for Frank's Water. It's for clean water for people who are in need of it. And they do this in India 3 times a year and travel in tuk-tuks around India from north to south, south to north, north back over to the west coast. And I was one of those guys in 2011. It was about 50 of us from all over the world that come and do this. Well, I drove.
Let me interrupt, Tom. Your voice is coming very low. I mean, we barely be able to listen to you.
Can you bring the laptop or the phone closer to you?
Can I do what?
Can you bring the laptop or the phone or the instrument which you are using closer to you so that we can hear you more?
Sure. How about that?
This is perfect. Now I can count the number of hair you have on your beard.
Yeah. This close? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, better.
Okay. In 2000, and I'll speak up. 2011.
Yeah.
I went to India with a group of people, and Premal was a client of Dorsey Wright and Associates at that point in time. And so when I came to India, Premal wanted me to come by his house and stop. Is it Ahmedabad? Ahmedabad? In Ahmedabad.
Yes. Yes.
And we drove into Ahmedabad as ragtag as you could be in our Levi's and tennis shoes and whatnot, and went to Premal's house and met his wonderful family. I mean, great people, great house. We had a good time. And that was a time where Premal took me aside and said, I need to learn relative strength. And I said, fine. I spent a couple of hours with him on this until he got it and he understood it, and he could regurgitate it back to me. He was fine. And at that point I said, okay, now I can go back on the road because Premal has got this and he's moving on with it. But I never knew what he was doing. Ultimately, what Premal did is he brought this to India, the concepts to India, and became the head of relative strength of India, the relative strength warriors. This is the coolest thing that I can think of since I've been in this business, which is 45 years. I love the concept of the warriors who go fight the wars every day, and I do too. I trade options every single day, naked straddles and strangles, and I can't wait to get in the morning to start the battle with the market. But relative strength is something that I came about by accident. The whole point and figure method I came about by accident. I was a stockbroker at Merrill Lynch for a number of years, and back then, all you had was fundamental research. You got these thick write-ups on stocks. You had to read it. And here's a problem that I have. I have a learning disability. It's called dyslexia.
Oh,
And for me to read was extremely difficult. We never knew what that was. I had to eventually teach myself to read. So I came across the point and figure method by accident when I was offered an opportunity to come across the street from Merrill Lynch and develop and manage their first option strategy department. And so I was given carte blanche to be able to hire anyone I wanted to hire, do what I needed to do to start the department. Well, the first person I hired his name was Steve Kane from Charlotte, North Carolina. And he came up to the office and he said, Tom, he said, I'd like you to read this book. And I brought this with me just for the fun of it, to read this book. This is the original point and figure type of book that was written, this one back in the 60s, but point and figure goes all the way back to the late 1800s. In fact,
wow.
Charles Dow, this is the first method of technical analysis in America. Charles Dow was the first person to begin recording stock price movement. And he created a methodology called figuring. And what he did is, opposed to the point and figure chart, which is X's and O's now, figuring, he would take the price of the stock and he would write that in the boxes on the chart. So the stock would go from 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, and then it would pull back as stocks move up and down. He would simply reverse order, shift columns, and go backwards down the stock. So the price of the stock became the chart, and it was called figuring. It wasn't until the early 1900s when someone looked at it and said, why don't we make the stock, when it's rising in price, the letter X, and we'll use, when the stock is going down, the letter O. And that hasn't changed since then. That's it, period. This methodology, there are no nuances to it to make it different with technology. All technology does is to complete these charts rapidly, hundreds of thousands of them in a heartbeat. So I look at this book, and he said, would you take this and read it, please, because it's the operating system in my mind. I'd like you to understand when I come to you with a stock or the market that you'll know exactly how I'm thinking. I said, fine. I took that to Virginia Beach with me and my wife that weekend, and I started reading the introduction, and my life profoundly changed that minute. And many of you have had the epiphany in your life where you know God has come down and has directed you to go in a direction, to do a particular thing, and this is what happened to me. And I'm going to read you this paragraph, if you'll indulge me. This is where my life stopped. And I looked over the other page, across the page, and I saw X's and O's, and I thought, no writing. No reports from a three-piece suit person from Harvard. It's just X's and O's. And a person who's dyslexic, this was like, oh my God, what have I found? So here's the paragraph that profoundly changed my life. It said, the technical analyst concerns himself with supply and demand, accumulation and distribution. Practically all stocks have substantial moves at one time or another. Fluctuation in price is as true of a blue chip as it is of a cat or a dog. No stock goes up in price of its own accord. Before a stock goes up, it goes through a period of accumulation by insiders. It is passing from weak hands into strong hands until demand is greater than supply and the upward move is on its way. And I stopped for a second and I said, you know, the most important course I had in the university was Economics 101. That followed me through my life, and Statistics 101. Here I am there again. It says, before a stock drops in price, it goes through a period of distribution by the same insiders. It's passing from strong hands into weak hands. When support is withdrawn, supply overcomes demand, and the panicky downward move is on. Supply overcomes demand. Wait a minute. Didn't I learn that in 1972 in a university about the irrefutable law of supply and demand? There is nothing else. That is it. It doesn't make any difference how flowery a report is or whatever. It's that battle between supply and demand that makes all the difference in the world. And you won't understand what that battle is all about until afterward. So I read the next sentence. When support is withdrawn, supply overcomes demand and panicky downward moves on. The technical analyst is concerned with the right time to buy and the right time to sell short. He attempts to determine the moment when supply or demand has taken control of the situation. He is an outsider making use of various techniques to determine what the insiders are doing. I stopped right there, and I knew what I had to do the rest of my life. God put that in my hands, and I had to teach this to my brothers and sisters the rest of my life, and I hadn't even learned it yet. I'm in the introduction, but I know when I saw the chart, I said, this is it. This is the missing piece of the equation that all of us had as stockbrokers back in the 1970s. We had charts, bar charts, and things like that, but my mind could never understand a bar chart, because bar charts are updated every day, no matter how inconsequential the move is. Bar charts whisper where point and figure charts shout at you. They're not updated every single day. So I realized this was my direction, and I finished reading the book, and this is by A.W. Cohen. This book is written back in the 1960s. You can see the cost is $4.95. That's it. $4.95 for the greatest education you can possibly get in the markets. I would direct you to my book now. Not that I need any sales or anything like that, but it's more comprehensive now. So all of a sudden, I read this, and I realized my direction was clearly point and figure, and I made my option department, built around the point and figure methodology, and then thus, once we found the underlying that we want to be, we would overlay option strategy. But it was the point and figure method that was the direction, and I began teaching this wherever I could. If you walk slow across the street with me, and you walk slow enough, I'm going to teach you point and figure before we get to the other side. Just crossing the street. So I was on a mission. I knew it was God-given, that this was my direction. And I had to teach this to my brothers and sisters the rest of my life, period. And I have done that. I've done exactly that. I'm now 74 years old, and I still do it. And I can't wait to get up in the morning to go in and get involved in it. So in 1987, I realized that the only way I'm going to be able to reach enough people to start my own company. So I had to leave Wheat First Securities Option Department. I went down the street with nothing. My wife was pregnant. I had 2 young sons. I had no money. And my partner, Watson Wright, who was my right-hand man at Dorsey Wright, in the option department, came with me. And we started Dorsey Wright Associates. And my vision at that point, was not so much that everyone was going to go and knock over the market and become instantly wealthy and whatnot. I thought about the little old lady who lived out in the country. And she would eventually have a better life, better portfolio, if she was helped by people who were trained and supported by Dorsey Wright Associates and point and figure analysis. Well, lo and behold, it caught on. And it went through the United States. I've been teaching this for 32 years at Dorsey Wright Associates. Ultimately, NASDAQ felt it was necessary to come and buy my company. And here's NASDAQ buying a point and figure company. We weren't like, here we're big technical analysts and fundamental analysts. We're this and that. We're Barron Lynch. No, we're point and figure. Period. Plain and simple. And NASDAQ felt it necessary to come and buy us. So that's an interesting thing. I've never seen that happen yet in this industry. Excuse me. Just getting over cold. Where a large firm like NASDAQ would want to be involved in point and figure, and we were point and figure, period. Nothing more, just point and figure. So as we began Dorsey Wright and Associates, we had to do everything by hand. We used to update 2,500 charts every day by hand. 5 analysts would take 500 stocks. And because the point and figure chart is not updated every day, you could do this. At the end of the day, the analyst who had that 500 stocks would then pass the book on to the next analyst, and the next analyst would do those stocks that day, and he would get a book from another analyst. So by the end of the week, they had seen all 2,500 stocks. And these charts were updated by hand because we had no computers then. We had no computer to be able to do this. So the relative strength charts, I turned over to the youngest person there, which is Tammy DeRozier. She became my right hand at Dorsey Wright. And weekly, she would update these charts by hand. Not 2,500, but we selected out maybe 200 stocks that you could do a week by hand. But that's as far as we were able to go. Once we had our own computer system and we started moving into the technological world, oh my Lord, that's where relative strength came from behind and move forward, because we can do this with relative strength in a second. If you looked at, let's say I looked at Pepsi-Cola and Coca-Cola, and I said, give me a fundamental research report, please, from Goldman Sachs on Coke. Coca-Cola would be ranked number one. Fundamentally sound, great company. Let's say Merrill Lynch gives me a report on PepsiCo. Pepsi-Cola, fundamentally sound, great company. What do I buy? Which one? How do I know which one to own? That's where the relative strength chart comes in. And that's simple fourth grade arithmetic. There's no relative strength index or any of these kinds of things. It's fourth grade arithmetic. If you have a son or you have a nephew who's in the fourth grade, they can help you. They can help you do this, because now the computer will do it automatically. And take, for instance, if you were to pull up Coca-Cola, a chart on the Dorsey Wright system, and you every single day the computer takes every stock in that in the Coca-Cola industry, PepsiCo industry, and does a relative strength chart. So we have a matrix every day. You simply click a button, you can see the top to bottom relative strength of every single sector. You can now take a mutual fund. You like a particular mutual fund, and you want to find out what the best stocks are in the mutual fund. You can simply click a button. It goes into a matrix system. The matrix is then created, and you have a list of the best to the worst. Take who's this lady that's really taken Wall Street by storm now? I can't think of her name. She's really good. She runs these exchange traded funds. You may remember the name. I can't think of it right now. But I like to look at what she does. I like to see the research that she has done and the stocks she recommends. And I simply take those, put them into a relative strength template, and press a button. The division happens. The arm wrestling contest goes on. And I have a list of the best down to the worst. And it makes it simple for me. So I can take her mind, her brain, put it into the system, and for me, come out with the best stocks that I can buy from that. It's amazing. Let you ask me a question.
So, Tom, we are getting the name of the lady. Is it Kathy Woods?
Pardon me, say it again.
Kathy Woods.
Yeah, it's coming. The voice on my side is cracking up.
Yeah.
Do you hear me okay there?
Yes, we can hear you, but the voice is a bit cracky right now. But that's okay. We'll try to comprehend you. I don't want to bother you with this.
Okay. So relative strength has become the most important part of it. Dorsey Wright and Associates are one of the first ones to be involved in exchange-traded funds. In fact, I was the first with Joseph Rosello in the Philadelphia Stock Exchange that brought the first exchange-traded fund, which was the cash index participation unit, back in the 1980s. So Dorsey Wright was preeminent in the exchange-traded funds. So we took them and used our relative strength. Now take this, for instance, one of the best performers that has over $1 billion some dollars in it, maybe $2 billion, $3 billion, I haven't looked recently, is our PDP, our technical leaders. Well, how do we do that? Well, we had 1,000 stocks that were considered fundamentally sound. These are big cap stocks, type names that will always be in. And each quarter, We would take those 1,000 stocks, put them through a matrix in which each stock had to do a relative strength chart against the next. So you take stock number one, it had to do a relative strength chart all the way across for 1,000 stocks. And then we would take the top 100, the strongest charts. So when this would take the 1,000 stocks, and it does it to today, the top 100 become our exchange traded fund. That's it. The symbol is PDP. It does extremely well, and it's got billions in it. But that's how it's done. The relative strength chart is automatically done. So we probably do every night, or I say DWA does now, it's NASDAQ, probably 45 million charts a night. That the computer is able to do that. And I've been looking at India, doing relative strength charts with India stocks and against the Nifty 50. There's all kinds of interesting things that we can do there. And we have an Indian site at Dorsey Wright. I say we. NASDAQ has an Indian site, which is strictly for Indian stocks. So we'll get into that and talk about that later. But the relative strength has become so important with our exchange traded funds. Take, for instance, the First Trust 5. We take their sectors, which are about 14 different sectors, put them into a matrix. We take the 5 best sectors, and we own those in our exchange traded fund called FV. Frank Victor, FV, has probably $4 billion in it. And what do? The basic 4th grade division of relative strength by each one of those against itself and against the market, and that's it. That's it. We take the 5 best and then run those. And if one of them gets weak enough and it falls to a particular level, then it will be taken out and the next best one will be put in. That's simple. That is so simple how you can manage portfolios this way. It's unbelievable. But the computer has the ability to do it. And we have a bunch of exchange traded funds that run this way. We have models, like an Indian model that automatically runs. I have been running in Indonesia for 14 years, a model in Indonesia, in Indonesian stocks, that is 100% relative strength. It takes their top stocks, let's say their top 25 stocks, puts them into a relative strength calculator, and we buy the top 5. That's it. Performance has been fantastic. In Indonesia, and I can't pronounce the names, but it automatically happens. It runs that way. Whenever a particular stock comes out, they're notified that the stock has come out and which one goes in. That transaction is handled automatically at eSamuel. And so I run the portfolio, and it's like, look, Ma, no hands. So relative strength has become the most important of what we do. Yes.
Tom, just 1 minute. Just 1 minute. I think we are facing more problems now with respect to the. So could you again log in? So Premal bhai, what should we do?
I think
The
the
program
audio.
here is whenever you speak from that end, it comes all garbled on this end.
Yeah, I think it's also because of some internet issue at your end. Premal, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you properly, but I still am hearing Tom's voice very low.
Yeah, Tom, your voice is low and it's
I'm
cracking.
sorry, the voice is breaking up.
Yeah, the voice
Now
is
I can't
breaking.
hear you at all.
Okay. So
Should we log in and log out back? Will that help?
yeah, Tom, could you log in and log out and log in back?
I can't understand it.
Tom, can you just log out first and then log in, like reconnect again? There's a button.
The voice
There's a button.
on the computer system, the voice is cracking up. It's getting all crackly. So it's
I
hard
do
for me
understand. What
to
I'm
understand.
suggesting is you log out and then log in back. If you log out and then log in back, reconnect. That will help.
Are you going to? Me? Log
Vivek,
out?
should we do that from our side? If we do that, log out, log in.
Let's
I can't
try.
understand, Premal.
Let's try, Premal. Just go log off and log in again.
Yes, yes.
Okay, how do I log out and log back in?
So I will, yeah. Tom, can you hear me now? Though I think there is some problem with internet somewhere. So what we can do is, I'm going to log you off. Can you log in again?
Okay.
Exactly the way you did last time.
Okay.
Yeah, Praval. So
Yes.
he is logged off. He is logged off. Let's see. Let's see. He will log in again
Yes.
because he's going to discuss very important point of
Exactly.
relative strength. So I don't want it to be a substandard audio quality.
Yes,
And I'm
exactly.
sure that our learners are patient people who want to really learn and not just be here. So I'm sure they'll be patient enough to hold on. In the meanwhile, Pramod, just tell me one thing. The model which he's talking about, relative strength, and the model which you are practicing, which is more adaptive and static RS, is there any difference? You have evolved that model based on Indian markets?
See, when I started relative strength studies, it was obviously on pointed figure charting using DWS system. So I used that system for around 3 to 4 years. And one thing I realized was that the missing element for Indian stock market was that the depth of major scripts, which were like in the mid cap, small caps, or the micro cap, the volumes were a critical part of our investment. And without volumes, if you dive into a stock, you will not be able to see whether the volume is enough that you can easily come in and out of that script. So after 3-4 years, I realized that okay, pure PNF for Indian markets would be a little, a missing part which we'll not be able to cover because PNF charts don't cover volumes. And that's when I tried my shift from volumes based study. Yes, Tom, can you try speaking again? We are able to see you.
Okay.
Fantastic. It worked.
Yeah, now your voice is coming through perfect.
Yes, it worked. Even your voice is coming perfect. So great. Fantastic.
Yes, a little better. The voice is now clear.
Yeah, remember, I need a millennial here. I don't have one.
Tom,
Yes.
you talked about you having alexia, right? The disease.
Say that again.
You had trouble reading, so you had this disease.
I couldn't read because being dyslexic, you change the words around, you read things that aren't really there, and because of my age, they had no idea what this was. It wasn't until the 1970s when they figured out what dyslexia was and how they could help that. And now I go to dyslexic schools and I give talks to the kids, that, hey, it's going to be okay. Don't worry about it. It's not necessary that you have to be able to read everything. But I had to teach myself to read to get through college. And once I spent 4 years in the Navy, I came back out and taught myself to read sentence by sentence. But still, I prefer to listen to books.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's another reason Point and Figure really spoke to me, because I didn't have to read these reports from analysts and try to understand what they're saying. I simply saw it on the chart, X's and O's. And when you look at catapult formations and you look at triple tops, quadruple tops, all the different types of formations that you look at, it clearly shows you, the point and figure chart shouts at you when it's time to buy and when it's time to sell. There's no question about it. And relative strength charts bring to you those stocks that are outperforming the broad averages. So you could look at two different stocks, look at two relative strength chart patterns against, let's say, the Standard & Poor's 500 or the Nifty 50, One of them is in a strong uptrend. The other one you can see is in a strong downtrend. But it's not the stock that's in a downtrend. It's the performance relative to the index. So it clearly helps you select which stock to own. No question about it.
So, Tom, I have a question here. Quick question. This is from my side. That point and figure charting is actually not considering time, right? Whatever I understand about it, it is a
That's right.
standalone price action of that instrument, which is basically giving us an hint. So there is no relativity at all there. Whereas relative strength is when you are finding relative strength of that stock vis-a-vis some benchmark. So principally, both the things are different, right? How did you merge both the things and come up with a model?
Well, you can't. The point and figure chart, like you said, is not updated every day. So it's not like a bar chart or candlestick or anything like that. So no matter how inconsequential the day is, those are updated. So they get very, very long and like I said, only whisper when the point and figure chart actually shouts at you. So when you can, the computer already knows ones and twos, right? That's how computers run, a 1 and a 2, right? How about an X and an O? It understands X's and O's too. It doesn't understand so much updating the bar chart or the candlestick, and it makes the charts too long. This way, point and figure charting makes it very, very simple. So you can look at the chart and then just press a button and look at its relative strength relative to the S&P, or put a whole matrix of stocks in there. Take 100 stocks and run the relative strength matrix, and in a heartbeat, you'll have a whole list of stocks from best to worst. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing what the computer system will do now. And that's the important takeaway here. It's not just that relative strength is absolutely important and that needs to be part of your stock selection, but that the computer will do this for you in a second. Where Dorsey Wright does probably 40 million charts a night that automatically happen. You can put these into our system and have them run every single day. Same with the Indian stocks. So the beauty of it is being able to come in and press a button and see the best to the worst right there in front of you.
So, Tom, what I understand is that you used to run the screener by using the point and figure, right? Or the RS stocks, and then apply point and figure on them. Is that what you are saying? Or running both parallelly in a single scan?
Back to the voice happening again.
Yeah, I think we're again back to the problem.
Yeah. Back to where the voice is crackling up.
Yeah.
Try
What
again,
can we do to
reconnect.
stop that? Pardon me?
Try to reconnect again. Log in, log out again. Tom, can you log in, log out? I will message you.
On this end,
Can you
you can't
log off?
understand what you're saying.
Can you log in again? Okay, so what we can do is when you speak, we'll be on mute mode.
Okay, reconnect.
I think there is some problem today. Not one of those great days.
Oh, probably if you have seen the message, he will be reconnect with us.
Okay, so I'm sure that our learners, friends will understand this. It happens, so that's how it is. Actually, I wanted to double confirm the name of the disease which you mentioned because I forgot exactly what he was saying. So that's why reconfirm. Yeah.
Dyslexia.
Yeah. Here we are. So Tom,
Yeah,
you are able to hear me now. Okay, so we'll keep on doing this every 5-10 minutes. That's okay. I think you have the patience.
So, did you have a question for me?
Yes, my question is the model which you have followed is you run screeners on many stocks every day based on relative strength model, and then you use point and figure to find out patterns on limited stocks, or you used to see point and figure in entire universe.
Here's what you can do.
Yeah.
This is what makes it so cool with the computer session. Let's say you give me a list of stocks that you like for whatever reason. You give me 100 stocks.
Yeah.
I simply go to our system and put them into the relative strength matrix and say, okay, I want you to arm wrestle each other, and then give me a list of who's the best arm wrestler and who's the weakest. Once you give me that list, then I put that list back in the computer and say, show me the catapult formations.
Okay.
And the computer will go in and simply pull out those stocks that are on catapult formations, and you have positive relative strength. This is your list to begin working from. So the computer can do it all because it's made with point finger system. It's made up of X's and O's. The computer understands that. So once I bring it down to show me the catapult formation, show me the triangle formation, show me this, it lists them out for me. And then I can further cull those down. The computer will do it automatically. So overnight, everything is done for me.
Sure, got it, Tom. So, Tom, I'm very, very happy to inform you that the first stage of screening this out of the universe has been implemented in StockEdge. The next stage of filling out the formations, etc., we are working on it so that your model can be implemented in Indian market under guidance of Premal Parekh properly, and people can identify stocks here.
Yes, absolutely. It's a matter of boiling it down. Boil it. Start off with a big pot of water, and you boil it down to a point where you have the right soup. The soup is right.
Sure, got it. So, Premal bhai, you were saying something?
Yeah. Basically, see, I've used this system extensively for 3-4 years, but it was long back which I used it. But then, it was, as he says, like, it's in a jiffy, you understand that these are the kind of stocks which are, relatively outperforming, and you don't have to do much of manual effort. Without this system, unless I had subscribed this system and I was following relative strength, it was a manual job which I used to do on a calculator for days. I mean, it was an 8-9 hours job every single day for me, where I used to take one chart, take the index, find out how much the index moved, find out how much the stock moved, do a division, and come to a conclusion whether this is positive or negative. So for every single stock which I want to look at, I used to do this manually. But once I had the system, it was like sailing across, very swiftly across lots of data together. Tom, I also want you to speak about the bell curve. I specifically, remember our conversation for the bell curve. You follow the bell curve model, wherein the stocks go from minimum to the maximum in the life cycles based on the relative strength studies.
I'm afraid that we're breaking up again on the voice. This technology, man. What was the last part of that question?
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Should I repeat the question?
I can hear you fine. It's just that the words all break up. So you can't, every other word is gone.
Okay, I will try again. What I'm asking is, why don't you explain more about the bell curve? The bell curve system, wherein you explain to me that the stocks go from the start of the journey right to the peak, and then when I want you to explain this to our viewers.
No, I think it's not wrong. We don't want to bother you. Maybe one last time, if you can log off and log in again, one last time. We'll not bother you. Follow on.
I will message again.
Okay, so I guess it's time for Geo to expand in US.
I know. I somehow feel, he has an iPhone, but
Yeah.
maybe there's bandwidth problem or something else.
Yeah. But I'm feeling blessed to have his presence more than anything else, because जो बोलते हैं ना कि भगवान का दर्शन हो जाता है तो वो अपने आप में बहुत बड़ी blessing है. तो he obviously has reached that stage of being a god of RS. So it's always pleasure to have him.
and the energy which he reflects. He can go on and on for hours talking about relative strength. I mean, you at a point feel like, oh my God, so much, but then he has so much to give. So,
Okay, back in.
oh, great. Now the voice is back. Tom, I wanted you to speak more about the bell curve. You specifically explained to me about the bell curve, how the stocks start the journey, reach a saturation point, and then they again go back to where they started from. So I want you to explain this to the viewers today.
Okay, say that one more time. Explain what? Explain what? Say the
Bell curve model.
I'll try bell curve model.
what model? I'm not understanding you.
The one which you have that bell curve, no, for every stock, in which life cycle the stock is.
No, it's not happening. Maybe what we do, Tom, we would like to bother you again maybe some other day if you allow us to do that. Because I can clearly see that we are bothering you so much. Uh, Pramal bhai, what do you think? Shall we reschedule it for some other time?
We will reschedule.
Otherwise, he's getting too much bothered and I'm really not liking.
Yeah,
Maybe
Yeah,
on the weekend.
yeah. My problem is I can't understand you.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
crack.
So,
It's cracking up.
so Pramal bhai, can you please send a message to him that we would like to reschedule it for some other time, and then we will continue where we have left here.
Absolutely, absolutely. Mostly on a weekend, we'll continue this day. But
Yeah.
for all the viewers who have joined us, it was I guess it was quite an insightful session for all of you, the way he has explained to us in this period, and something which was an eye opener for you. It was equally an eye opener to me when I heard him one on one personally for the first time when he met me over here. But then, this is the way forward, which, it clearly filters the demand and the supply in the most specific, most clearer way one can ever get for any stock. And I reached a stage wherein after practicing point and figure and then candlestick charting, for every candlestick chart which I see today, on the back of it, what's the point and figure chart doing? That's kind of an extra vision which I start getting right now. So for me, identifying the demand for any stock or any counter of stock which is moving, where actually the demand is placed, that has become a reality for me. So I'm happy that in my early days I got to meet him, interact with him, and start my journey with point and figure charting. We don't need
Pramal bhai, he's here, so let me just thank him for his presence because I don't want to bother him again with the flow and maybe request him for another session someday. So I'll just add to the stream.
absolutely.
Yeah. So while the voice is still working, tell me what you asked me, Premal.
I wanted you, Tom, to explain people more about the bell curve. You have a system, no, wherein the stock they start their journey, they mature, they reach a saturation point, and then when they start the descent, they come back to the position where they started from. So that bell curve model which you follow on your system, I wanted that to be explained to the people.
Vivek, let me hear it from you.
Okay, so what he wants you to talk about is the bell curve, the journey of a.
Oh, okay. No problem. That's Statistics 101. That's what I learned in the university. And that happens to me every single day when you think of Statistics 101. The normal distribution, the bell curve, is made up of 6 standard deviations. And from center, which is where a particular stock wants to be, that's where dead center is where it wants to be. But if you go out 1 standard deviation either side, 68% of all observations will fall within that area. So 68% of the time, things are what we just call middling, hanging around the center. That's why the strategies that are right 68% of the time are neutral strategies. So in other words, I can look for a particular stock. I want something with positive relative strength. It's in the middle of the bell curve. That tells me I should do a covered right. I should buy the stock and sell the call. Or I should sell a straddle. Or I should sell something which is neutral, because 68% of the time, that's where things are middling. But sometimes they move all the way out to the right-hand side, which is 100% overbought. Sometimes they'll move to the left-hand side, which is 100% oversold. And understanding where they are on that distribution is very important. So with the Dorsey Wright system, you just simply click a button. The bell curve comes up. You see every stock that you're looking at, where it lies, where the whole portfolio lies. So if I look at U.S. stocks, and I find that in U.S. stocks, they are 3 standard deviations above trend, then you're in a condition where there's a high probability of a correction coming. And you have to play defense at that point in time. The same thing with a particular stock. I can have a stock with positive relative strength. Everything looks great. Fundamentals are fine, but it's 3 standard deviations above trend. So it's telling me that the stock is due for a correction. So what's the right thing for me to do at that point in time is to sell a call against a position, to buy a put against a position. Play the stock as if it's going to pull back to the middle of the bell curve. At that point, that's where the stock actually wants to be. When you think about this, whenever you drive your car now and you come up to a stoplight and that light stops you, that's called regression to mean. Whenever you know some people that become too big for their pants, they are just the greatest. They think they're the greatest people in the world. Well, you know they're going to get knocked back down. So I might get up in the morning and I'm going to the gym and I'm speeding like crazy because it's early in the morning, and all of a sudden the light turns red, stops me. I get regressed back to mean. The little old lady from Pasadena driving her car pulls up next to me and looks at me. I'm thinking, okay, light turns green. I'm going to go as fast as I can. And the next one turns red and regresses me back to mean. And the little old lady from Pasadena pulls up right next to me. So there's a particular speed limit within that bell curve that will help you just continue to move up that curve and move with it, rather than having to be regressive to mean continually. So that's the bell curve. It tells you the overall pattern of risk of the particular portfolio or of the stock, and you can search for that too. Search for positive relative strength, catapult formations, where the stock is no more than 1 standard deviation above trend. The computers will do this, so you don't have to lift a finger. You don't have to do all of this kinds of work. You have to just have it in the computer and press the button.
Sure. So, Tom, you said that you trade options literally every day. I wanted to know how your relative strength model is helping you in options trading.
Okay, very good question. The way I trade options is I don't trade them per se. I am looking at non-activity. In other words, when the market opens today, if this was I do this with 1-day options that come in the morning and expire at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So 1 day. It's like holding an ice cream cone in Coney Island in July, and you're standing in the sand out there on the beach, and you're holding an ice cream cone, and you want that ice cream to melt. That's all. I want the ice cream to melt, and that's theta. You want the theta to work for you. So what I will do is each day is I'll sell a straddle or a strangle. Let's say the S&P is at 4,500. I might start out and I'm going to sell a 4,580 call and maybe a 4,420 put. So I've got a wide range that I put this on. I sell them because I want the ice cream to melt. I'm not interested in picking a direction because I'm doing both the put and the call. So what I'm doing is taking in enough premium so that if I am wrong and the market starts moving crazy in one direction or the other, one side will offset the other while I have time to think about how I'm going to defend my position. The way I pick my strike prices is I want to start the trade-off, and I always sell a straddle or a strangle with equal premiums. In other words, if I'm going to take in 10 points on the call, I want 10 points on the put. And that starts me off even on both sides. So if the market gets erratic right off the bat, one side will offset the other side and give me time to think. So by matching up the premiums, it tells me what strike prices I need to use. And that helps me with the strike prices. Because some days, if the market has been going up, premium has come down significantly. If the market has been crashing, premium is going up significantly. So I have to play it like whatever premium's available. So I try to make good money every single day when I come in, from morning till night. So I don't take a direction. I don't trade options per se. I don't buy them to buy a call to make money if the stock goes up, or buy a put to make money if it goes down. I sell them. And in essence, what I'm doing is I am creating an insurance company. When you think about this, let's say you buy a car. You go out and you buy a brand new car. You're not going to drive it off the lot until you have insurance, right? You can insure it, right? So before you drive that home, you're going to get insurance. Well, you may buy a stock and say, you know what? I need insurance on this stock too. If I want insurance, I buy a put. So if I buy the stock and I buy a put, I bought insurance in the event that the stock has an accident. I can put that stock to someone, i.e. the insurance company. So I'm an insurance seller. On the same thing with the call side, they have the right to call stock away from me. So I'm the person who's providing the insurance. I'm the insurance company selling you insurance, and you're hoping that you don't have to ever use it. You don't want to sit on your way home in your car. You don't want to have your house burned down and use the insurance. You don't want to die and someone gets your life insurance. So it's the most beautiful business to be in. So if you're an option trader, I would start learning, and I'd be happy to teach a course, or have people can come watch me throughout the day. I've had people do that, can log in and see exactly what I'm doing while they're on the phone. And I might have a good day, I might have a bad day. I mean, some days are bad and you just can't deal with it because it moves so fast against you that at some point you just have to take the loss and move to the sidelines and reestablish. It's like a chess match. It's a chess match. You're moving things around the table. The more you become well versed in that strategy, the more you win more on a daily basis. So if I can make $10,000 a day trading, that's what I'm going to do. No question about it. And this is the right strategy.
So, Tom, do you track relative strength for intraday as well?
Do I you started to break up again. Say that again.
Do you track relative strength for intraday options trading as well?
No. You would want relative strength, but relative strength is long term. Relative strength, whether it turns positive or negative, can last for 2 to 2.5 years. I mean, it's a long-term type of thing. So your relative strength on the chart may have turned positive 6 months ago, and it's still strong. Well, that's great. That's one positive thing you have with your stock. The chart pattern is telling you, hey, the supply and demand relationship now has moved to demand, not supply. So it's another positive for me. And if you're trading like I do, it's one day. So the relative strength doesn't come into play. I'm one day. So in the morning at 9:30 or 10, and I don't even put a position on until probably 10 o'clock. I let things settle down, 10 or 11, settle down, and then I'll begin to put a position on. But it doesn't matter to me because by 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the game is over.
Okay. Fair point.
So one-day options. I don't know if you have those in India.
We have weekly options. We have weekly options. We don't have daily options yet.
Okay, weekly options. That would be my next play. If I didn't have daily options, I would be using weekly options. But weekly options are the theta or the ice cream is not going to melt so fast like it does in one day. One day that ice cream has to go. You may be left
True.
with the cone. And that's the intrinsic value that's left over. So there's a lot of finesse to understanding how to trade this way. But, man, I think it's a way. It's a way for me.
Tom, I want to ask you a question not related to relative strength. The question is full-time trading as a career. You have been there, done that, seen all of things. Do you suggest people to look at trading as a full-time career?
Do I look at trading as a fool's errand?
Full-time career. Do you think people should take trading as a full-time career?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because there are so many different things out there that you can be in. One is working. Automobiles might work, where utilities may not be working. Oil might be working. You just have to be able to, and in order to understand all the different pieces, you have to let the computer do this. The computer has to go in and look at a bunch of stocks and outline to you to say, Vivek, here's the list of stocks you should be looking at. Period. Here's the sector you should be looking at, because relative strength, you can do relative strength on sectors, on different markets. I can compare the Nifty 50 to the Standard & Poor's 500 to the Japanese market. I mean, I can compare anything to anything. That's the beauty of this. It's X's and O's. The computer understands ones and twos. It's simple. So anyone that is computer literate has to be doing this, so the computer does the work for you, outlines everything you need, gives you your players. Here's your soccer players. Go out there and win the game.
Okay, Tom, couple of more questions. I'll fancy my chance. When you calculate relative strength of stock, do you look at benchmark index or sector index?
I missed the back part. Do I benchmark?
When you calculate relative strength of a stock, do you look at benchmark index, broader index, or sector index?
Okay, yeah, all of it. You want, because it's so simple to calculate, you're going to calculate the overall market. For you, it'll be the Nifty. And then you're going to go in and calculate the sectors. But the computer has to do this. You can't waste your time doing it. This is computer stuff. This is simple arithmetic in the computer. You have to let the computer select the sector. Then once you have the sector, take the stocks, put them in a matrix, and the matrix will run against each other and give you a list of the best stocks. So you go from the whole down to the pieces. It's absolutely beautiful. It's to me, this is a Picasso painting. It's a Rembrandt. When you think about what you can do and how we go about doing it now in the markets, this is a beautiful painting. A beautiful painting.
Got it.
That's why I can't wait every morning to wake up and come in here at 9:30 and get up and get with it.
Vivek, the most wonderful thing to hear is, he has a flavor for everything. He has an ice cream. He has a Picasso painting. So once he
Vivek,
speaks,
he's breaking up on me.
Sorry?
Vivek, he's breaking up on me.
Okay, what he's saying that he's always excited to hear from you because of the lovely analogies you have.
Did I have what?
Lovely analogies, the ice cream analogy. He loved it.
Okay, I don't get it, but I have. If you're saying I have technology, yeah, I mean it's basic technology that anyone can have. Anyone can have. It's arithmetic. It's nothing but arithmetic. There's nothing complicated here. Whenever you hear an analyst, I don't care who he is, how great he is, come up to you and give you all of these things, these buzzwords and things that you have to do this. You have to have made it past 4th grade to be able to do this. That's all. And then let the computer do it. It knows X's and O's. It knows ones and twos. And you can't do this with a bar chart or Fibonacci retracement numbers or Gann angles or waves or cycles. or candlestick charts. You can't do this with that. Only with the point and figure because of the X's and the O's and the different patterns that are clear and concise. You don't have to sit back and ask someone, does this look like a particular pattern to you? No, it is or it isn't. It's a catapult formation. It's a triple top. It's a quadruple top. It's a shakeout formation. It's a bearish signal reversal. These things are established. So the bearish signal reversal, you're watching a stock come down, make a lower low, lower high. They have to have 7 columns like that. Then when it breaks out off of that 7th column, that's the bearish signal reversal. That's where the probability is 98% that you'll be successful with that stock. But you just have to go to the computer and say, look, out of all of these stocks, show me the bearish signal reversals. Show me the catapult formations. Show me these formations. Take everything out and just leave what I need. Leave my players. Show me the best soccer players or the best cricket players. And I love cricket, by the way. I don't understand it, but I love to watch it.
So, Tom, no one can ever guess that you are 73, 74-year-old. You are, what a bunch of energy you are carrying. Amazing. I mean, I clearly, okay. I don't think so. He can hear us.
I know the voice in the issue.
Yeah, I guess this is it. Because I don't want to bother him further. I think he has given so much to us in this
I don't know why
this connectivity.
our hookup is so bad. I mean, okay, now.
So Tom, yeah. So what I was saying that thank you so much. I think we have taken a lot from you in this video, and you are doing your best considering the limitation of technology. I hope you can hear me, and we are just trying to thank you for your time and your presence.
Let's do this again when we can get the voice and volume right, because I was just getting going, man.
Yes, totally. So we'll love to have you again. Thank you so much for giving this commitment of another session with better connectivity. We will coordinate this before we go live. And I hope to hear from you from here on, continue the discussion and get more into the RS model which you have developed.
Here's what we can do the next time. What we'll do is you can hook up through my computer. You come into my computer, everyone can see it, and we'll go through these things so I can show you how to click and how it will turn out.
That will be great.
And we can do it with Indian stocks.
That will be great. That will be absolutely amazing.
That will be fun. I'd love to do that.
Great. So we have great commitment and amazing. I mean, Tom Dorsey, you are amazing. You are really an inspiration for a lot of youngsters like us who want to reach the level of pinnacle where you have reached at this such a lovely gesture for you to come over and talk to us. Premal, I will request you to close this session.
Absolutely,
Well, that's
absolutely.
great.
It's a pleasure to hear to Tom every single time I listen to him. Tremendous energy every time he, displays it out. I just don't have words to express. No, he never has something which is under his skin. Everything just starts coming out of it, and he has every single aspect which he is vocal about, and that's the best part of him. Like at this seniority where he has lots of people, CMT level people working in his company, NASDAQ buying it, the company's level is so big, but then he is still the same exact person. Maybe the day he started, he was the same, and even today, when I meet him, when I talk to him, he's the exact same person. So, that shows the leadership skill of one person without any, without any arrogance about his heights of success and the way he has lived life and achieved so much in life. There's nothing on the face which is reflecting and absolute beauty to hear to him. As far as his system is concerned, someday we'll again log in back into his system and try to show our users as much as we could with his system connected to us, and we will be able to see it visually. But yes, definitely, if you want to understand it in more detail, you have to subscribe it. we were talking today morning that we will open up a part of that whole system which is for the Indian stocks, and maybe we were thinking of starting something like DWA India, So out of the whole system, I know most of our retail investors don't invest globally, but if you have the access to the Indian stocks, then that filtration process using the DWA system is very likely possible for our investors, and especially for the retail investors who are with me on the RS Warriors group. For people on YouTube who have just joined us, who have not seen our webinars, I recommend you once to visit rswarriors.com. There's a link which leads you to the 3 webinars which I've done in association with Elearnmarkets. On that link, you can subscribe to those webinars, understand how RS is practiced. Once you have seen through the webinar, you are most welcome to join us on RS Warriors. And there are extremely good people who are helping me run this movement, and I'm very thankful to these people. It's a bunch of around 20 people who actively manage group the replies to the people's queries. So many people, I mean 4,600 people is not a small group, but then only and only because of the support of these people and Team Elearnmarkets, Team StockEdge, who is enrolling members, who is getting people on the platform. I mean, it's a joint effort from every side, which we are putting through to empower retail investors who want to use relative strength into their investing journey and make this a fruitful investing model for themselves. So I welcome you all. Be a part of the webinar and then enroll into the RS Warriors group, and then you will automatically learn as time passes on. There might be preliminary questions you might have, but then every single question which is new, we try to answer those questions on the group. And as again, many thanks to my captain Vivek Bajaj. I always say I'm a captain because he's the one who has inspired me to do all this for the investors, to bring RS to the retail audience. Otherwise, it was just limited to me till the time I was launched in the first webinar last year in June 2020. So all thanks to him, his energy, and yes, I can never forget the first 2 RS scans being introduced in none other than StockEdge application, which I was trying since 2011. Many companies I approached and asked them to incorporate RS scans into them, but none of them were keenly interested. But then this is the only man who took it seriously, and he incorporated the scans into the system. So this is the biggest commitment which I have received from him, and that's the reason why I love this man, and for the vision he carries, for the inclination to incorporate RS into his softwares and giving it to the people. That's the best part of this journey.
Thank you so much, Premal Bhai, for these kind words, and thank you so much, Tom, for blessing us with your presence. Your presence itself is amazing. It gives us goosebumps. We are getting a very positive vibes from you. So keep spreading those lovely energy and vibes from your place. And we hope to host you someday in India. RS started when you were there in India, and it should continue with that zeal. And we are committed to RS in India. So hopefully, after the COVID is settling down, we would love to invite you for a big RS conference in India someday.
Your voice is mute. Tom, your voice is on mute. Yes,
Now you
yes.
can speak.
They what?
So we would love to invite you for RS conference sometime in India after the COVID thing gets settled.
Well, we can do more. We can do more here. I can't wait to do more for the RS Warriors. I want to see the RS Warriors get to 10,000, and I will do whatever I can. So let's go to 10,000, and the next start planning my next webinar with you, and we're going to go through the charts. I'm going to take you into my system, and we'll practice it first. We make sure we can hear everything. I'll get it on the computer. We'll have it done perfectly, but then you'll be able to be inside my computer and watch me move around, and that's going to be cool. That's going to be cool.
Absolutely.
So if you want to do that, we do it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So looking and thanks for the new target which you have given to us. 10,000 is it. It
It's my
will happen
pleasure.
soon.
It's my honor.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you everyone who joined us for this lovely session. Tom is super energetic guy. No one would say that he's 73 or 74. I forgot the count. Doesn't matter because you still look like in your 50s. Keep glowing like this so that we just keep on getting that sunshine from you. The sunshine we call RS, and India is getting empowered through RS warriors as part of this RS revolution which we have bought in our country. Thank you.
I love that.
Stay healthy. Take care. The world needs you. Stay healthy and enjoy yourself.
You know what we need to do? We need to get a logo and get some shirts made. RS Warrior shirts, T-shirts.
Absolutely.
Your wish is our command. We'll get this thing done.
Let's come up with a logo. I like the way you said that sun. The sun is the RS. It's cool.
Done. This work will be done. Thank you. Thank you, Premal. Thank you, Tom. And thank you to all of the lovely learners who have joined us tonight. Have a great
You're
life
very
ahead.
welcome.
Take care of yourself. Bye bye.
Anytime.